Charlie with his linguini charting. He loses sometimes, but hardly. He's BTC Charlie. But now he's GBP Charlie. It doesn't matter what he's charting. His trading is tough, but it's not all that bad with Charlie. He's got memes in the morning and more in the evening. It's Charlie. And when trading gets hard and support starts to lean, search Charlie. Charlie with his linguini charting. He loses sometimes, but hardly. He's BTC Charlie. But now he's GBP Charlie. It doesn't matter what he's charting. His trading is tough, but it's not all that bad with Charlie. He's got memes in the morning and more in the evening. It's Charlie. And when trading gets hard and support starts to lean, search Charlie. Charlie with his linguini charting. He loses sometimes, but hardly. He's BTC Charlie.
Right, bonjour, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. How's everybody doing on this fine Tuesday evening? What's the story, morning glory? Hello, Ruck. How's it going, buddy? Hello, Nunk. We chart this as an all-time high. What do you want me to chart? There's nothing to chart, buddy. MCAN, evening, further upside. Good evening, Ultimate 1209. Good evening. Good evening, Elio. Good evening, Mark Toes. Let's jump in. Bad you left me on red? What? Did I? That does not sound like something I would do very often. Good afternoon from Canada. My God, we're international today. Let me just close my window. I'll move this piece of shite. Bosh. Right. There we go. Let's jump into things. Only because I can hear people outside. Although I think my mic's reasonably good at like dulling other noises out, but we will just shut it just in case. Right. Let's jump into things. So first off, shout out to Bonkbot for sponsoring the stream. We are loving the Bonkbot. I'm allowed to show you things on Bonkbot now. I'm not going to trade it live today because my antivirus is going fucking mental for some bizarre reason. But I just wanted to show you like some of the cool features that they've got. Like, I tried to use it on Telegram. I don't really like Telegram trading because I'm a massive boomer, to be honest with you. I get that it's fast execution and all that kind of stuff, but it is, exactly the same on like web terminal. Exceptionally fast in terms of showing you new creations, coins about to graduate and stuff that has graduated. Now, I normally operate in this area over here. This is where I found like diarrhea and stuff like that. I've since cleared out my portfolio and just sorry, throat's going a little bit. Just left it, and I haven't been trenching. The classic thing is to gamble, keep gambling, and keep going. For me, I lost a couple after diarrhea, so we'll just hit hard reset and come back to when I've got a little bit of sauce. I've been playing around with the wallet tracker as well, so I'm tracking some, overall very profitable wallets and looking at some of their kind of live trades and just summaries of it. They haven't been doing too well today by the seams of things, but yeah, the whole tool in and of itself is just next level, and I need to up my game on chain trading. Right, it's probably quite kind of late to the game in terms of, how do I put it? Trenches have had a really good season, but better late than never, right? And trying to really, immerse myself in on-chain trading and get involved in essentially new launches, but with, what I'm trying to do is filter out everything that is, ideally dog shit, has been launched by like hundreds of different devs. By a dev who's launched hundreds of different coins. They've got so many cool features coming. I'm not going to go through all of them, obviously, now, but, looking at just individual things like that are appearing up here, you can see like as it graduates, you can jump into it, very, very quick UI, very, very nice in terms of look and feel, put it this way, if I can do it. And when you actually like buy some stuff, what can I buy? I've only got like fuck all in here at the moment, so let's just bosh some stuff in, shall we? What are we buying? Buy some word art memes. Let's go. Let's see how that plays out by the end of the stream. We'll fucking just leave it, yeah? We YOLO that. But yeah, Bonkbot, absolutely amazing. For on-chain gambling, you can do so much more stuff than I am, currently showing you, but you can apply filters to this, for example, and you can, really start filtering out shit. If the dev is holding too much, for example, you can say, don't want any of that. You can do lots and lots of cool stuff and very smart stuff, which I am not currently in a position to be like, these are the best things to do. But yes, I'm not a consistently profitable on-chain trader using Bonkbot at this moment in time. I've had some really nice wins, don't get me wrong, but I couldn't do this all day every day. Oh, that's me. And what is this doing? And currently make a shit ton of money, but with these tools, I'm pretty confident that this is going to give me a huge edge in executing on chain. Well, not just executing, but actually finding opportunities, right? So if you sign up, there is, just remind myself of the benefits instantly. So you get 10% cash back for a week. I think we're allowed to say cash back, which let's just, is it cash back? Let's just double check my legal terminology. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. Do your own research, etc. Educational stream, all that kind of wonderful stuff. Excuse me. Yeah, 10% cash back and 1 week pre-launch access to this. So well worth doing and signing up. Hey Grandpa, how are you doing? We just hit all-time high on Kita. I mean, there's not really a chance I'm going to chat after that, is there? Not really, let's be honest. But yeah, let's jump into Bitcoin, which is going to kind of set the tone and the scene for the rest of the stream. How is everyone feeling about Bitcoin? And I use the word feeling very emotively. Right? What's your gut feeling? What's your gut feeling on Bitcoin, everybody? Bull market over. This is it. Trend lost. GG. See you in 2028 for next bull run. Got a feeling says Bitcoin higher. Feeling what we hold here. Feels like deeper pullback then back up. Want higher, but feels like it's going lower. Underside retest. The time being surprisingly positive. 111 minimum. Then we have August. Stale. Yeah. Okay. So a little bit of a mix, to be honest. More bulls than bears. No idea. Excellent. Well, we'll present a couple of arguments. I'll tell you my kind of feeling and why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. But yeah, for me, like, there's not really much that's changed. You know, I'm still naturally bullish on this asset. You know, it's quite difficult to be bearish. You know, the big scenario for me is this. So, you know, this is kind of the big what if scenario, and I drew it up the other day when I was doing my outlook for Paragon, and essentially all I'm worried about is we've had a really strong run up for a while, and then this could be a lower high, and then this is, you know, the complacency bounce, etc., like this to this. Yeah, I think the reality of things though is that, like, logically trying to fade an asset that has been essentially up only since its inception and is a, you know, Ponzi scheme by design because we just print infinite money. Yeah, I think it's kind of folly to say that this is the end of the stock market. But you know, it's just worth watching, I suppose, because if we are starting to lose momentum here, and this isn't just, you know, an arbitrary doodle, what I'm trying to do is go, okay, well, are there any RSI divs? Not at the moment. You know, things look like reasonable, they look okay. This in and of itself, you know, isn't really a divergence. It's like, you know, if you squint, it's a div because, you know, that's kind of, well, it's a divergence in momentum and the fact that they're flat, but is it an actionable one? Not at all, because one, that hasn't started going down yet. Two, this isn't actually higher than this, so an actionable divergence would look like this, you know, on price, and then like that on RSI. So really, there's not an awful lot for me to action here. And since this low, you know, way back in start of April, it's just been up only. We're still above the trend. We're just ranging a little bit and slowing down, which is fair enough. We've had a really strong move from the extreme of the oversold to the extreme of the overbought, and now we're kind of just testing that trend and ranging a little bit. So, you know, TradFi remains pretty bullish. I'm pretty optimistic about it. I did top up my Bitcoin holdings here at like 104-ish, something like that. And, you know, my theory as kind of drawn out here is if we lose this area here, this 101, then it's a bit tricky. But, you know, for me, the kind of big sort of pivotal push and reclaim essentially will be anything, you know, up here. What is it? Oh, it's control. My bad. Anything up here, so kind of 105, sorry, 106 ish level, yeah, where we've rejected previously here, pushed above, reclaimed, you know, resistance, support, and yeah, resistance here. I was looking over here while saying that, which is a bit dumb. But yeah, you start doing that, we can get really sort of turbo bullish again, and hopefully alts do the same thing and really, really run. I failing to reclaim 106 is big trouble. I don't see it as much as I see the rejection here as 106.8 particularly big trouble, because if you look at this area back here, right, and you look at that low going across there, I think it's like really clean. This across here, I think that's really, really clean. And I think this move, you know, I don't think it's done yet necessarily. If you start looking at, let's look at a 4-hour chart. I don't even know I have a 3-hour chart now. You know, we're still kind of above the trend. We're retesting that 50, which is a typical area for, you know, we consolidate a little bit and then hopefully we continue. You know, this is where the trend is kind of being fought for, is my way of looking at it. So you come to the 50 and then you're deciding the next leg. And if we break up from that, which hopefully we do, you know, we come up, we reclaim, we maybe go for these highs here. Maybe we dick around for a little bit longer because it's, you know, starting to wade into summer. And what we actually get from a higher time frame kind of perspective is one of my favorite setups anyway, which is we have these former all-time highs over here. Bosh. Right? And then we have this strong move up, and we have the pullback, and then we have some chop around, and then we do something like this. You know, we chop around, we get everyone bored, We fake everyone out at the highs. You know, the wonderful, nearly 100 million round trip in a 3% range is kind of the absolute testament to the participants of the market at the moment, I think. And a lot of people are over gambling, maybe to compensate for the fact that, they missed out on this or something like that. Whereas, from an altcoin perspective, there's been a couple of nice little rotations, but like at the start of the week, I kind of decided that I'm gonna just focus on building a couple of things this week and not overtrade. I was looking for longs on TRB and Fartcoin and missed both of them. But really, what have I missed? Like, not exactly huge amounts from the lows. Not exactly life-changing trades in and of themselves. And these kind of consolidations, nice because they are technically bullish market structure. You've got a series of higher highs and higher lows, so it is good. But from a rotational perspective, not as clean as they have been, like say way back here, where you've just got like this absolutely clean monster run for like 36%, like real up only, real strong. Like compare the awesome oscillator down here, compared to like this, right? Very, very strong, very consistent, very strong, very consistent, kind of intraday ups and downs, which is a bit more choppy, which is fine, right? Can trade that, but it's just not as easy as the former. And I think once we actually reclaim that, like 100, 106.8, 107k level, I think that's when we start getting the real risk on. Everyone's like, hooray, my meme diagonal on Bitcoin, let's just bosh it away again. That's kind of gone out the window. We can look at like the trend scanner and stuff for a bit of confluence. We're finally kind of flipping above on the 4 hour, but on the daily, we're kind of pinned in between it. Whereas we had this really nice period since the start of April, or middle of April, I guess, where we were above it. And we just, every time we pushed into it, we pushed up. So we pushed up here, we pushed up here, the first kind of touch, and here, and then here's where we really start failing. And now what we're really looking for is, one, those bands are tightening, and two, we'd like to see, it push above, it go again, etc., etc. But at the moment, it's kind of a decision point. So do I want to super risk on right here, right now? No, you can join trends later. You can join trends when there's a bit of trend acceleration, like look at these candles. For me, I think there's probably a more probability of ranging at this point in time. Does that kind of make sense? Like at the moment, I've got I filled a bit more Bitcoin here on the basis that we are going to try and continue, but I'm not going to be like super bullish about it. My invalidation for that is under here, so it's under like 101.5. So really what I'm hoping for is that we just consolidate at the highs and we push higher, given that TradFi is still pretty bullish and that this is a largely spot driven move to the upside versus perps shorting and getting chopped up in 3% ranges and round tripping $100 million. And that's kind of it for me. Like, I'm cautiously bullish on Bitcoin is probably the best way of putting it. I'm not advocating like YOLO in at the highs. I'm not going to sit here and be bearish either. Not until we get some true flips of momentum again, because this played out, like the 4 hour played out nicely to the downside, but now like here, but just because we haven't crossed in terms of the momentum indicator, so the Trader XO macro trend scanner, we are trading above it. So it's kind of like, well, this will cross bullish soon, and everything else is bullish, so kind of why wouldn't Bitcoin be? The most worrying thing for me is that some of the low time frame alt rotations haven't been that great in terms of like alt distribution. It was particularly true yesterday. It's not as true today, but like it's TRB, it's STX, it's desync, which is good because I got a fat bag of desync, but it's not your standard like Fartcoin. Like Fartcoin has been decent as well, but it's been quite choppy, as we just saw on the chart, and it's not super high beta, which is not ideal. Not ideal for me. as someone who's been trading Farcoin. So as far as Bitcoin goes, from a structure perspective, high time frame, we've definitely got a bit of a, I wouldn't say worry, it's just time to be a little bit more protective than it is to be super aggressive. This could easily turn into a little lower high and then a change of trend in line with the fact that we know the trend is lost. We've had the 50 retest, almost got the AO cross on the daily, obviously, and if that starts trending down, if price starts trending down, that'll be a cross, and then that'll be probably a bit of a pullback. Maybe just grab some liquidity and then go back. But that's me out of that spot Bitcoin I bought up here somewhere, and just being cautious on those rotations. But reclaim that 106.8, and it's game on, and it will be very. I think the market will be very quick to react. I think the market will be very fast to literally adjust to a high risk on environment quite quickly. Does that make sense? Are there any questions or any other thoughts about that? Like, I would rather buy up here if I wasn't deployed in here somewhere, and just join that kind of change in bullish market structure and just make sure that we are, holding this 107. So it would look something like this. Something like this in terms of play the next leg. But chances are it chops up a little bit more before we actually get there. How's everyone feeling about that? How's everyone feeling about being cautiously bullish? Spot again. I think it either goes up or down. Yeah. So just to be clear, because I know it's very easy to say it could go up or down. I think I'm like cautiously bullish, which means I think it's going to go up, but I think that there might be a little bit of chop first, which would be chop this, which would be chop either here or up here. Let's just redo that. And I think it's fine to say that I don't have like a super strong bias either way. When we did the stream down here, I think it was, and we just literally went like this, and then we went, okay, well, if it goes like this, then, oh shit, then the longs here, I'll find the thing because I drew it on stream. I did a trade idea like this and just went bosh. Better conviction in that because we'd broken a downtrend and we'd had a bit of consolidation and then we break it up. And now, right, if we invert the same thing and we go, okay, well, we just said that it's called like a Shivenko fork or something like that, is the bullshit TA name for it. If we do exactly the same here, it's kind of like, well, why aren't you super bearish now, Charlie? And the answer is firstly, like this consolidation down here, let me just reflip it. This consolidation down here was quite a while. It was definitely a longer length of time, to be essentially under this. But also, it was driven by, a very strong macro headwind of all of the tariff news and the kind of intraday changes and positioning of Trump and China. Yeah. So that's kind of why I think it's different. And it may not be from a technical analysis perspective. It's similar, but like I said, this is a much smaller period of consolidation, which makes me think that actually this is more likely to kind of carry on than it is this to be a change in market structure. Yeah, same view. Wondering whether most alts downtrend bleed as Bitcoin ranges during summer. Yeah, potentially. I mean, that's kind of my worry, is that if you look objectively, right, on a lot of altcoins, like give me some strong perp altcoins, guys. Give me some strong perp altcoins. The shortcut like alt-I or something. Yeah, alt-I. So, maybe not. Yeah, bosh, bosh, bosh. Hyperliquid, Farcoin. Hello, Charlie. Hello, Fernando. Pepe. Okay, let's go with some of these. So let's like be really objective about these, and let's set some like criteria, right? And we'll do it together. What's bullish criteria to you guys, and what's bearish criteria? Don't break the PC again. I've just fixed it, I think, mate. I've just fixed it. So give me some bullish criteria and bearish criteria before we start looking at charts, right? If I own it, bullish. That's fucking great. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're tending not to buy things that you're not bullish on, right? And you're not going to kind of own it on spot. Higher high, higher low since April lows. Perfect. Perfect. That kind of stuff's very easily actionable. Lovely. Hype over under pattern is a thing of beauty. Yeah. Maintaining trend. Yeah. Relative strength. Yeah. CBS bull posting is usually short term mega bearish. Is that a back tested strategy? Is it? Brilliant. Brilliant. Wake up, mirror red list, high lows, trending moving average. Yeah, exactly. So you guys are getting it, right? So we're going to look at market structure. We're going to look at trends. We're going to try and be objective about this, and we're going to try and really just maintain a rational view rather than anything else. So let's start with Altcoin because it's kind of one of my babies, right? I've been trading this, as you probably all know, for a long time. Like literally since the start of March, I think, or maybe the end of March. Like I think I jumped on board here, so I wasn't buying the lows, and it's a good lesson, right? Why do I not want to buy an accumulation range and buy the lows, Charlie? What the fuck are you doing? You know, there's all these divs going across here, and it's like, yeah, brilliant. You know, there's this kind of change in momentum as well. You can see that the trend's going lower and all that kind of stuff. And I think I might have pointed it out at one point in time, but I certainly didn't action it. And the reason is that these coins can range and do fuck all for a long period of time. They can also go like that at any point. And so the real best thing, in my opinion, to do is play breakouts of high time frame ranges, which is exactly what this is. It did it on relative strength, which is another massive bonus for me. And essentially, from a daily trend perspective, we've held this for a long time, and we've only just lost it from a Trader XO macro trend scanner perspective, which is totally free indicator, by the way. You can jump on this anytime from TradingView. Just search for this and you'll get it. So, here not only have we lost the trends in terms of like these lines here, these green lines, we've closed under both of them here, but the trend has also, the short-term EMA, or the faster EMA, if you like, has crossed the slower EMA and is now pointing downwards, as they both are. And from a high time frame structure, so just market structure perspective, we had this low, this high. We've now got a new low, which, for the blind homies is a lower low. So, it's really not a great place, in my opinion, to be like, okay, I'm going to super take on risk unless you've got some decent divergences to play into this, which there were not that I saw anyway. There's a little hourly down here, but, not particularly strong. An hourly div that has gone massively back into non-extreme territory, not particularly wild enough for me to get excited about. So, I can't be super aggressive into this market unless I see something really outstanding on this. And, I think it was last stream, actually, maybe. It was the stream on Friday when I took a little bit of a punt on TRB for something like this. And then I ended up round tripping it, essentially. I don't know, that's a lie. I took a loss on it. I took a loss on it because it literally went up like that, and then I longed it like here, and it went up maybe 1%, and then bosh straight back down rather, because the entire market just decided to shit itself. What was it? It was last Friday, wasn't it? Or last Thursday, something like that. It was like down here, so I probably shouldn't have been as aggressive, but I was, and yeah, that move's kind of done, played out, but haven't seen much that's really interested me today or yesterday, so we'll just kind of wait and see. Like, a lot of this stuff, in my opinion, is going to be difficult to jump back on board. Or sorry, jump on board early. Like it's gonna be really easy to get bullish again if we kind of start flipping levels, and if we start reclaiming trends, and if we start seeing that relative strength once again on low time frame. But yeah, right at this moment, high time frame daily trend, market structure bearish, EMAs cross bearish, EMAs just alone all lost. So it's not looking particularly good. So you're hoping crypto run while stocks gonna fail? No, I'm hoping stocks don't fail, mate. I mean, I literally said that like I doodled this and I said that I'm conscious or cautious that this is like the classic complacency leg, but it's really difficult to get behind that idea because you've essentially got this consolidation range, which is quite natural after a sort of strong push up. And if we lose that on TradFi, then yeah, maybe it's time to take a bit of a break over summer and just not bother trying to jump back in super early and just wait for some kind of changes in structure to jump back in. And maybe this whole kind of area here, which is a massive fucking range, and maybe you wouldn't even go to that extreme, right? Go somewhere down here, is just like a big kind of distribution or reaccumulation phase, I guess. If we do just print more money and go up eventually of the SP, but yeah, it's pretty hard to be bearish this. Something that is essentially V recovered over a 3-4 month period. It's it's pretty wild in TradFi terms, to be honest. What it's actually done. Yeah, 21% down, 23% up, like 24. But yeah, no reason for me to be bearish, like either if we're doing the same structure that we talked about. We've got like continuously higher highs, higher lows, higher high, and then yeah, maybe this changes it, maybe it puts in a lower low, and then maybe we get cautious here, and that's where we go, okay, this is really not a market that's looking strong, but TradFi looks okay, crypto looks okay. I think that Bitcoin just needs to really push. I think one other strong dynamic of the last however long really is Bitcoin dominance. Like we obviously saw a decent pullback when the market got a little bit horny, but now it's since these lows it's been pushing up and to the right. So altcoin selection is going to be massive in terms of how you beat the market in this next phase. And for me personally, like let's have a peep. What's been running? As you know, I own a lot of BERT, which is good because it was the best of this basket. Don't own any Nero. We've got stuff like Whiff and Maker, bizarrely, MKR running. I've seen a lot of people tweet about it. Don't know why. I assume there's something going around, but don't know. And then TRB is another one which I keep seeing on no time frame spaghetti and think it's probably just going to get MM'd up to like $500 again, which would be really dodgy. But if we can jump on board that, we will. Yeah, it's just not been like hugely risk on, and loads of other charts look like shit. But one of the ones that looks amazing, and we went over it last stream actually, is I'm just trying to find it, trying to work out my alphabet. It's hype. So we talked about hype before. I told you how I bought at like $17, held it for a 50% drawdown, and then I'm massively up like 2x on it now. So that was how to hold a trade, which is wild. But we talked about this exact setup. I haven't changed anything from last stream. Where one of my favorite setups is the all-time. Randomly. Stephen Hawking. Yeah, brilliant. It's wild. Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy a new mic. I tried to fix it but it's I don't know what the fuck causes it. Yeah, it might be my real voice. My fucking wheelchair just took over. I just started speaking. Yeah, it doesn't actually like tell me anything. It doesn't look fucked on OBS or anything like that. I don't know why it's doing this. I'm gonna buy another mic and just check it's not that, because I can't see how it would be, but whatever. We'll give it a go. Yes, we will see. Right. What did you hear about this? So all I was saying is that hype in terms of, so I basically said the Farcoin structure looks like shit, which really is annoying because I've been trading it really well, and it's been great to trade. But for me, hype looks incredible. I bought hype at $17 way back here. I held it for a 50% drawdown, and I'm now up 2x or something on it, which is nice. But yeah, I'm not sure if you heard much of that. I think this was the plan last time in terms of we've got the all-time high, we've got the push above all-time high, which is this doodle here. We've then got this consolidation, which is what usually happens after an all-time high break, and then it'll just run again. And it's one of my favorite setups. I've been trading this setup for literally years. I'm sure I can find the shitty schematic that I drew and put on Twitter, because it is quite good. Like, you see it all the time. Like, honestly, it can be on even like low cap memes. It just works. I don't know why it works. I guess it's just the psychology of stuff. But I guess it's just a reflection of actual market participation, or market participant psychology rather, that really I'm going to sell here because I've been underwater for so long. If I bought over here or something, like, I'll take the highs, and then it just dies off, and then we run it back, or we consolidate for a little bit because everyone thinks it's just going to turbo run, and then it goes usually low to the range lows, and then it reclaims, and then it fucks off. And range reclaims in trending environments are literally the easiest way to get on board a trend, in my opinion. So you get something like this, sweep the highs, come down, sweep all the lows, reclaim, and then run it back turbo, right? So basically fuck both sides. That to me is like one of the best schematics that you'll get for just getting long exceptionally strong altcoins. KuCoin all-time highs around 42. Ah, okay. So maybe it's just my chart. But either way, principle still stands. The former highs, consolidation. Off we go. What charts we got? I do not have this. Did this work? No. Rip. Look at that. Perhaps if I played with stops tighter than a duck's asshole, would be smacking out some big booty trades. What's the fucking... Chip's a good example. One of the first con I got this app, thanks. Yeah, it's good. Spot hype might be a good summer option. Yeah, not too bad. I mean, it was obviously better way back when it was lower, when it was breaking out of the ranges, when it was this setup here that we talked about, or even when it was the the reclaim here. Like, reclaiming of levels with the trend confluence is kind of great. Just great simple system stuff, right? Nothing complex. Just, I think the project's good. I think it's going to get more attention. Blah blah blah. What do you want? Like, ideally, you want range breakouts, range reclaims. Simple stuff. But yeah, so hype stays like on the bullish list, whereas Fartcoin looks a little bit fucked. Let's have a look at some other stuff that you guys said. Pepe. Pepe's a really interesting one. I think I told you about this last week. I was long for a rotation, and whilst I was in New York, and I was too early. And the rotation didn't end up being as great as I thought it was. I think I've still got it annotated roughly. Let's just take this trend scanner off the charts, have a peep. Oh yeah, this was me kind of explaining the different trade scenarios and how I manage them in the Paragon group. So short rotational trades versus, wider swing trades. When you've got a thesis and when you want to hold something for longer, and when you've got a bit more conviction than just, this is the strongest altcoin in this rotation. I'm going to play the trend and ride the trend, which is a lot of what I do. Having a bit of a wider both stop and target is kind of how I tend to play things. So difference between the ideas, but I wrote a lot about that in the Paragon. Yeah, let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at Pepe. So let's be objective about it. Let's do the same thing that we just did, right? Let's look at trends and go what's going on from a trend perspective. Well, from a daily trend perspective, we are slightly below and essentially having a bearish retest of the trends in terms of the EMAs. They are closing in, which means they are about to cross and cross bearish, which means that the faster EMA is going to be lower than the slower EMA, which means it goes red. So that's not particularly great. From a price action perspective, then, is there anything any major redeeming factors? Not really. This is like a bearish underside retest of the former range. But one of the good things for Pepe is that it is one of the stronger alts. And when we go on to here, and when we go on to look at the ETH chart, one of my kind of thesis for the next leg of the bull run is ETH running. So, everyone's kind of a bit tired of Bitcoin and a little bit fatigued because it's not really moving too much. Whereas ETH, if people start rotating to ETH, and maybe we get the classic, Bitcoin is stage 1, ETH is stage 2, or ETH and majors, and then proper retard mode is stage 3. The low caps, and then stage 4 is the memes. That was the old capital cycle, how it worked in old in 2017, 2021. And maybe we get that kind of thing again. I can't really see it happening like that entirely because we've had a fucking load of risk. We've had a lot of memes run. We've had a lot of stuff going on over the last however many months, maybe even a couple of years, I guess, since the 2023 lows. But, maybe it's a slower, more elongated cycle. And actually, the move to ETH is a little bit more, how do I put it? It's just a bit slower. But equally, ETH BTCs yet to break out. The trend's starting to slow down because we're ranging. ETH looks okay in terms of this push up. But if it does leg up, then we need to be kind of agile and adapt and say, okay, well, let's play this out. If this starts running, then we can either buy breakouts, or we could go to Pepe and we could essentially long the reclaim, right? Because I'm kind of convinced that they'll be one and the same thing. And what's going to be a better trade if ETH runs like this? Pepe is going to run like this, right? So, is it a little bit early here? Yeah, I think it is. It's a little bit early. We're still dabbling around that 50 area. It's an underside retest of, the former consolidation. It's really not looking particularly wonderful from a price action perspective. But if you push above it on some relative strength and ETH starts gaining a bit of momentum, you've quickly got a recipe for a very, very simple trade that will hopefully go much, much higher because ETH is running with the rest of the market. Does that make sense? And this is where, the last bit of annotation I had on the Pepe chart around kind of trade 1, trade 2, those theses or those ways of trading will really help both entering and exiting those kind of positions. So yeah, I've ignored chat for a little bit, so hopefully my mic didn't just die again. Otherwise, yeah. Love the frog. Are they super strong these days? Yeah. Pepe bought me 2 cribs in the Hamptons. We love the frog. Legendary, mate. That's some nice work. I remember seeing Pepe at about 300k market cap when my friend Eric Cryptoman shilled it, and I was like, oh, I remember literally just like I had about 10k in a wallet, and I was like, oh, I should just do it because I got a billion Pepe things on my phone, and I was like, do you know what? Fuck this. I shouldn't be trading while I'm piss assing about. I probably would have sold it for like $2, right? Straight after I went from 300k to 600k, and great, free, 10 grand. But I was like, I remember sweating fucking buckets, and I was just awful. But yeah, it was probably a dumb coin not to ape, even if it was just like $1,000 or something stupid. Mike died for 5 seconds. It came back. It's probably just me slurping some water, to be honest, mate. But yeah, this is a really clean example of I think a fresh position that I will get into as and when. The only thing is that at the moment it's just ranging and consolidating heading into this. So there might be a rotation later this evening, which I can jump in on a low time frame basis. So like deleting all this stuff, we're looking at this is a range essentially. I'll probably do it there and just ignore the extremes. But all I'm really interested in here is sweep the lows, reclaim, show me some relative strength, and off we go. And then zooming out, looking at that from a higher time frame perspective of, well, actually, if this is the trade that breaks me into the former 4-hour range, then well, that's been a gimp, but okay. Then I'm likely to hold it for longer. Does that make sense? I think Pepe very, very kind of high up on the agenda. Even stuff like Whiff looks okay actually. Like 4-hour trend, well above. Trader XO scanner would say the same. Structure, this is strong structure. Difficult for me to kind of jump on right at this moment in time, but we could have a reasonably decent kind of reclaim kind of setup up here as well with Whiff, and particularly as it has been quite strong on the old relative strength. Right, does that make sense? Is that kind of a reasonable, rational view? I'm not going balls deep on everything. You rarely hear me go like super risk on anyway, to be fair. I'm not like the trader that's going to be like, buy everything right this second, otherwise you're going to be poor. I think of things in a much longer time horizon than a lot of people. Am I still in Bobity? Don't know what you mean, mate. Oh, nobody. I've still got some nobody, but I may have cashed some of that out. Yeah, don't know whether this piece of shit is going out the window after this. So I'm just literally gonna throw it out my window so that it forces me to buy another one and stop being a tight ass motherfucker. Happy to lose 20 grand on a quick perps trade. Not happy to part with $300 on a fucking microphone. Explain that one. Explain that one to me like I'm 12. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, there's not really like loads of stuff that I'm majorly like excited about. There's a couple of launches coming which I've invested in, which should be okay. Should be pretty good, but nothing that's gonna be like instant jumps out, whole market jumps on it. Even the Loud launch the other day, which I actually thought would do much better than it did, just kind of tanked. It went from like 15 mil market cap to like 6 mil market cap in a couple of days. Like it's not really this hyper risk on environment, right? When you look at how do I put it? Like Friendtech, like obviously Friendtech started like up here somewhere, and then it kind of just died off. But there were periods where it looked okay, and then it just literally fucking went like that, right? And like the general trajectory was just down, whereas Loud is pretty much it literally went like that, and then it has just done this like very very quickly. Like people just don't want new shiny shits particularly. Even Kaito and stuff like that. That was similar when it launched. One of the things I invested in a long time ago, Cookie actually did the same. They did it way back here and fucking absolutely died. And then lo and behold, it just comes out of fucking nowhere and rips like a 37x in a few weeks. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Loud or anything like that, but actually done pretty decently since back here. But yeah, you know, not shilling this bag, more just a more just a point of the market isn't super risk on for new launches, at least from kind of the recent activity. Sol's an interesting one as well. Like, fuck me, how many lines are on this? Jesus Christ. Let's get rid of some of that shit, shall we? Let's try and just do 2 lines. Yeah, we're kind of sat at this like mid-range now. This is really from a bullish perspective where we'd want to hold. You know, it's been pretty consistent across like this region. Even if you just maybe make it a little bit wider, do like a big Donald box and get it clocking everything. But you know, it's not about the specific penny. It's about the region. It's about the area where price should react to. And you know, this for me is kind of like a from a market structure perspective. So this is obviously bullish market structure. We are holding up this low here on a high time frame perspective, but on a low time frame perspective, this is a fresh low here. So we'd really like to see it hold up here. If we start going like 3-day, and we go, well, we want this to hold the 3-day structure to the upside. Well, this is really where it has to hold. I think if Sol starts running and actually breaks out of like all of this janky consolidation over here, then we could be in for a really fun summer. Like, I know that people want to write seasonality down to the T and be like, well, it's going to be boring, but we always have to ask ourselves the question of what if it's not? And that doesn't mean you spend every day at the PC. It means, what are my triggers for actually spending more time or less time? And for me, like, one trigger for a bullish summer in terms of like Sol memes, in terms of Sol in general, is just us breaking above that 180, doing it successfully. You know, I don't understand why everyone's getting mega bearish. That's fine. People can be protective, always cash out some dollars, treat yourself, pay yourself, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm not going to get mega bearish because some diagonals have broken, when like even from like a 3-day perspective, we're doing retests on a lot of the like 50 levels on RSI across various memes. And usually uptrends are great and they're really good, but they're not without being tested. So I'll just stay rationally, cautiously bullish, so not overexposed to the upside, but certainly not exposed to the downside, apart from Trump. And, Trump's my big short, which I'm short from like 29, somewhere over here. We've obviously talked about Trump before, but yeah, Trump is going to zero. Yeah, I short it here, and it is going to zero over a long enough time horizon. So yeah, we will just enjoy that. And everyone always asks me about funding. It's not been that bad. There was a point where the funding was where I was reasonably positive on the old Trump funding. But yeah, it's just a nice coin to have. Bonk. I mean, structurally, Bonk's a decent coin. As in good liquidity, usually moves really well. Like this move, I think it probably relies a lot more on Solana than other coins. And the fact that it, where's my PC being a douchebag? And the fact that it's at high time frame support, and by high time frame I mean like very high time frame, like resistance. I'd say this is probably a bit of an extreme move, bit of a deviation, but support, resistance, support. Like, it's a very pivotal level for Bonk. So kind of bullish above, bearish below. Okay, it's broken structure. Certainly has here. This is a very bearish structure on like the 2-day. Probably the same on the daily. Do I want to long this now? No. Do I want to long something like this? Yeah, maybe. Do I want to look at getting on board if Sol starts running? Yeah, probably. If it can prove that it's one of the better memes out there. So you look at, the simple range reclaim, it's a similar point of Pepe, right? But you're going to be bullish more on Sol or ETH at the moment. And, if you look at Sol ETH over the daily, like it's a pretty stark chart in terms of Ethereum. Bizarrely, has been the place to be for the last month. Now, whether that stays the same, whether that changes, who knows? But you would look at this chart and you would say that there is definitely, let's go for like the weekly. This is really where it would need to hold up. You can see that there's like this decline in momentum perpetually over this period. Like we've had a strong run up. Like I'm not trying to trade this particularly or anything like that, but it's just this will give you an objective view as to whether or not your thesis or bias is right. Sol has been in a downtrend against Bitcoin, against ETH for a couple of weeks, if not like a month and a half, like these 2-week candles, so yeah, 2 months. And we are like at the 50 level, we are retesting it. Is this a pivotal point in terms of it's just going to carry on doing this? Don't know. I would prefer a Sol season than an ETH season, but like it's quite simple. If this chart starts to show signs of reversal, we've got a few divs across these lows, etc., etc., and it starts really putting in some strength, then you want to be looking at Sol memes like Bonk, like Whiff, like all that kind of stuff. If it carries on declining, then you're probably better off in stuff like Pepe or Ethereum Cash. Yeah. ETH, do you think we get a pullback to Monday's low? I don't really trade off like Monday's low or anything like that, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask, but I assume you're just kind of looking at this and going, well, I will trade around that, which is fine. So annoying. And that's fine. Like for me, the major area of interest is here, this 2589 level. If we hold that, then I think we keep going, and I think we actually get that breakout move on Ethereum. If we get that breakout move on Ethereum, then obviously odds go with it, etc., etc. If we've done this, fairly big move, like $200 move down to 2482, your first warning sign is losing this 2582-ish level. The kind of mid range of this consolidation. That's confluent with all these highs. So, for me, yeah, it could do that. It could do fucking anything, right? It could do this. It could do that. Go back in time. Can't really, but you know what I mean? Could do anything. I got no idea. I'm just trying to play the probabilities that are in my favor, or mark out what I want to see to be able to get bullish, or to be able to get bearish, or to be able to sell all my altcoins and stuff. But like ETH's looking okay now. Not looking amazing. A couple of nice moves, but yeah, failing to kind of really keep that consistent momentum up. Hopefully we'll get a little flip, little run, and then we'll get our Pepe long, and then we'll jump in and retire off a single trade again. Thank you, but I've noticed in general summertime ETH runs heavy, hopefully. I believe thanks Ultimate, their product's really good. Oh, Pepo, do you think Pepo pulls a nobody like the consensus says? Been holding since 1.4 million market cap. I don't know, to be honest. I haven't actually got a bag of Pepo. But Campbell's a very smart guy. And, if he's running it, which I believe is one of the founders or the founder, then I'm sure it'll do very well. But yeah, I foolishly faded it because I didn't do any research. And I just saw something called Pee Poo Poo or something, and I was like, nah. And then I didn't realize it was like MemeFi and actually trying to build a useful product. So, my bad. Yeah, anyone got any questions? Anyone got any comments, queries, anything like that? I think the fact that you're all still here during these like less exciting times means that your chances to make it are exponentially improved. Doesn't mean you're gonna make it though. Joking. It just means that, a lot of people kind of come in at the top, right? They see all the charts like up here and go, hey, how do I buy this Gito thing? Rather than going, this is an interesting little area, already claimed. Is Gito still a good coin? Is there much in terms of, positive sentiment about it? Is there a load of catalysts to kind of propel it? Do we want to like trade something like this? Big downtrend, maybe being broken here. Maybe we wait for the break of the meme diagonal. Maybe we buy a higher low here so to confirm the daily trend change, etc., etc. But nice charts, lots of nice charts out there. That need just a little bit of a push to make them really attractive, like Pepe, like JTO, like Bonk, like a few other things. There's lots and lots of potential out there, even with, it's either like the easiest short looking back in hindsight, or we're about to get just confirmation that there's, another decent leg up. Can't connect your wallet to app.pepo. Fading poo poo, first mistake. Are you holding Kittenheimer Kai? I've got a small bag of Kai somewhere, but not as much as I probably should have. I've got a lot of Bert. If you want me to show Bert to you again, ram that down your throat. I've been holding Bert for fucking ever. That's why I tweet about it all the time. I honestly thought it was going to be like the next Shib, but I mean, it kind of was, right? It ran fucking 100x in a day, which is absolutely mental. Like way back here, absolutely mental. And then decent structure, but again, it's in a range. Like if it gets to the top of the range, breaks out, starts going, I think it just cuts through all of this shite like a hot knife through butter. And I guess the big question that people have to ask themselves in general, not just like with the bird chart, but with any meme chart, is do we think that this here is just a brief pullback in a bigger trend and a bigger move? Do we think that actually markets are going to recover? Do you think that we can take out these highs eventually? Obviously, I'm not saying tomorrow, I'm saying in like by the end of the year. A lot of people I speak to who are smarter at the macro stuff than I am, they see Q4 as being very bullish. They see it being very, very bullish. But yeah, I will just let the charts tell me what's going on. And I'll position appropriately. I'm still cautiously bullish in this scenario. We talked about the range reclaim earlier on Pepe, especially if ETH gives us the kind of confluence to go balls deep long on something like Pepe. Excuse me. Then we'll just run it up. But these have been nice moves off these lows, but the worst case scenario for us is that we just kind of go back and then we go back into like ranging tosh for a while, and risk remains out of the market over summer, and then perhaps we come back like a lot of people say, Q3, end of Q3, kind of Q4, and we run it back then. That would be pretty boring, I'm not gonna lie. That would be not ideal, but we can just keep trading in the interim and see what happens. Pepe 1.68 is 0.43. I don't really trade like that, mate. You're talking about fib levels and all that kind of stuff, aren't you? What's your opinion on all these companies trying to copycat Zeta and MicroStrategy? Do you think it will create a bubble eventually? Really good question. There's kind of two sides to it, right? One is you are... So there's almost like the bull and the bear case for it. Bull case is more Bitcoin's getting accumulated, more people are buying. Chances are they're looking at it on a higher time frame than the intraday moves. They're buying it. They only have to report depending on if they're listed or whatever. Well, they have to report annually, like at a minimum. Let's just say that. And you're not going to be that fussed. You might have to disclose a half year and stuff like that. If you're a bit bigger, you might have to do profit warnings and bloody blah, and you might need to realize some gains and do all that kind of shite to really realize to help that. But so good, they're buying supply. Good, they're advertising for us. good. They're holding it, hopefully, for a long time. But if you look at when Tesla sold it, it damaged the market pretty badly. The downside of it is obviously, what if they will sell? Big supply pressure. What if they are forced to sell, i.e. their underlying business that's in whatever becomes pretty shite, unviable? I saw a chart the other day that was like, most companies that adopted a Bitcoin treasury strategy had a decent increase in share price. So if you think about it from that perspective, then the market's pretty bullish on them. But whether or not that transcends into actual long-term value for shareholders of those companies, and obviously the likes of us degenerates as crypto gamblers, is kind of yet to be seen. It's kind of the digital gold rush. So I would prefer to see it as the digital gold rush, and that people are hoping that Bitcoin flips gold, which is still like a 7 or 8x away from here. And I don't think that that's unreasonable, to be perfectly honest. I think Bitcoin is much easier to buy, hold, send across the world, sell, and understand in terms of the kind of limited supply value prop than gold. Like, gold is a limited supply, yes, but you can create it if you've got a Large Hadron Collider. Or we could mine an asteroid from space, and there are asteroids out there that have flown past Earth that carry basically the world supply of gold on it. So we might get hit by an asteroid and then all life on the planet gets wiped out, but the price of gold will halve overnight. So big upside to shorting gold. No, I'm joking. Please don't short gold. Not financial advice, etc. But yeah, I think there's like fors and against. I mean, personally, I'm just gonna approach it with the kind of left bell curve approach of people buying my bags. Happy days. Number go up, right? Lots of smart people over here probably think the same. And there's lots of mid-curvers in here that are going, oh, this is bad. What about the risk? What about this? What about that? Like, the reality is it'll probably take fucking years for it to actually manifest. So I'm just going to say, good, number go up, more back holders, please. We're exiting on companies now. That's the reality of it. We're dumping on nations and politicians and companies. Like, what fucking more could we want? An ETF boomers. Like, this is what we always dreamed of in the cyberpunk days. So yeah. When you draw out ranges just to by eye, I struggle to know what levels to map out. Maybe it's just experience. Alright, James. I'll give you some sauce. Raw sauce. Nothing but sauce. Alright. So on TradingView, there is this thing that I always forget the name of. Fixed range volume profile. Right? And what you can do with that is you can select what you think looks like a range and do this. Right? And what this will do, this is a kind of better range drawing tool than just naked eye, but you can use it to kind of validate your drawings, right? So I'm doing it up until the lows, up until where it broke down, but it's like discretion. You can do the whole thing if you want. I'm also going to do this and show you another tool that you can use, which is VRVP. And what you'll notice is the VRVP is exactly the same thing. I've replayed it because the replay starts now from here. So the two things kind of align. This has actually got the volume of these candles in it as well. So it is ever so slightly different, but we'll ignore it for now. Like they basically align, they basically touch, right? But what these are, the fixed range visible profile is just off the area that I selected it, and the VRVP is off everything on screen. So if I zoom out, this won't change, but this does, yeah? So this is now saying that this area is the area with the most volume in it, and that the point of control, i.e. the place where there is most volume, is down here somewhere, yeah? So we'll kind of ignore that right now, and we'll go back to this. But what you can see here is if I draw my range, and I would draw it off the candle highs. So I would probably draw it off, let's just delete all that shite. Oh, I've deleted the, oh well. I would probably draw it off the candle highs, and then what you can do is compare it to where the VRVP lines are, and you go, well, okay, there is a difference. I'm going to, sorry, not the VRVP, the fixed range. because fixed range is obviously better because it's just the area that you are interested in. And now I've got a lot of lines on here. So, yeah, how am I going to trade this, or what am I going to infer from this? And you might just go, well, do you know what? I know that this area here is a bit tricky. I know that this area here is a bit tricky. And so if we start seeing price either cut through it, like alt knife through butter, or really bouncing from it and showing some relative strength, or if you want to get into the real detail of order flow, 4 hours a bit high for it, to really use the flow kind of information of like open interest and CVDs and stuff like that. Like I wouldn't be using it on the 4 hour, I'd be using it low time frame, 1 to 5 minute basically. Might probably be on the 1 second, but yeah, we we made the point that it should be low time frame. It's about the reaction, the market's reaction at these levels anyway. So does it have to be like a penny? No. To the absolute penny? No. It's about areas where you think supply are going to flood the market and it's going to go down because people think this is a reasonable price to sell, or people are going to step in because they think, well, this is a fucking bargain. If you delete this and you go, okay, well, let's pretend that this is a pint of milk in the shops. You go, if I walk in the shops, every time I've walked in the shops and seen a pint of milk for this, I've gone, nah, fuck that. Every time I've gone in this, gone, yeah, I'll have some of that. Happy days, that seems pretty fucking reasonable. And then, if I keep buying it and selling it here, like eventually one side's going to give, right? And we know that this side gave way. And we could probably jump into a bit more information that would kind of give us a clue that this was the breakdown, or going to be the breakdown. But that's the kind of point in it, is it doesn't matter specifically about the penny, particularly if you're using like wider stops. But you can use those tools to kind of give you confluence with your imaginary lines. Yeah. So my imaginary lines off like a naked chart look like that, whereas the fixed range obviously was I kind of did it a bit backwards in terms of showing you, but I should have drawn it first and then done that and said, yeah, they broadly align. But does that make sense, James? Is that a long answer to a short question? Because I do just draw them manually, but it's also years of doing it, looking at charts, and it's very rare that I'll have. I kind of cuck myself sometimes because I'll do a trade like this, and I'll go, all right, well, I'm longing like this, and this is my stop, and yada yada yada, and then I'll go onto the exchange and I'll actually put my stop there, and I check the chart, and it's like it's done this. I'm like, fuck. It stopped me out of the like theoretical trade limit, but actually I'm still in the position, so you don't get the clout. So I should probably get into the habit of like doing this and just making it even wider than I think I'm actually going to put it on. But the thought process is, like it's not about the specific penny; it's about the area. In terms of general drawings and doodlings, right? Good evening. Good morning, Doc. How are you? You just missed the most sauce I've probably ever given out on a stream. No, I'm joking. It's actually very simple stuff. But now Doc is here, we have to say that Pepe's going to 0. So as concluded in our earlier stream, this is the path of Pepe. I think Doc agrees. Yeah, this is clearly a bearish retest. That's it. Let's freak him out. I think he's balls deep long Pepe from here. We will see. Nah. Yeah, capo style, just one big. Isn't capo style more like this? Just like we're gonna go to negatives. Bitcoin capo. Yeah, there we go. The stream has decided. But no, I'm looking for a reclaim, and then we'll go. Might be a little bit late, might get a little bit chopped up, but I would rather be late to the right party than arrive early at the wrong one, as the famous saying goes. And yeah, Pepe has been one of the stronger alts. Let's have a look on like the latest rotations. Yeah, yeah, bit naff. Yeah, it's okay, but it's not like stand out. Do you know what I mean? Whiff seems to be dominating for some reason. Even Fartcoin is jumping in for this one. Yeah, I'm a little late to this rotation. Need you to market blast to pay for your sins now. Yeah, with my $2. $2. Did we get rugged? I'm guessing we lost some shekels. Is this was not the future of finance? I probably should have monitored this a little bit more. But you too can round trip like me on Bonkbot while you're streaming and not looking at what happened. But I mean, you know, it would have been a nice 3x at the highs. Whoops. Yeah, that's typically why I don't trade while I stream. But yeah, there we go. Whatever that was, 0.1 sol or something. 2/3 of fuck all. Yeah, down 83%. Excellent. My $16 is now 2. How will I survive? I've just risked it for a biscuit. But yeah, maybe put some actual money in here next week, and maybe we actually monitor it as opposed to just. Yeah, I'm taking donations now, like James Wynn. I'm liquidated, boys. Taking donations. We should do a full trench trading system together and let chat pick our trades. Yeah, man, I'm down for that. Like genuinely. Well, I've got the wallet tracking set up and I'm monitoring some wallets and I'm trying to just find coins. To be honest, my most successful strategy, right, meme coin trading has been coins that just make me laugh, that I just get, right? You know, diarrhea, this shit's gonna run. That to me was fucking brilliant. And there was volume, there was, it was quite quick in terms of, it had something like this to start with. It was, it was decent. But yeah, so I'm gonna post this on Twitter, and I'm just gonna I'll get Leo to like crop this bit out or something, and we'll just be like, yeah, first trade on Bonkbot on stream, we did a 300% move, bosh. We'll just ignore this. Minus 81%, yeah. But it was just trying to show you the execution, right, and just how fast and sort of easy it is to use. But yes, once we've got something set up a little bit more on the filters, we will, and maybe some decent trades, because these boys are all going back into bull, which I'm not too sure about, to be honest, because I know that it did pretty well. But it's had a few strong moves. Pretty fucking thick lick compared to most of the other dog shit memes. Actual very decent volume, but yeah, we will see. You go through virtuals or TRB? No, I didn't actually. I'll go through TRB because it's one that I'm familiar with. But if you want virtuals, I would suggest you go on the dog stream because he's traded it exceptionally well. And oh look, another classic Charlie. We're gonna tag the absolute fucking pico bottom of your stop, and then we're gonna absolutely run it turbo because we're cunts. And like I'm the James Wynn of TRB. Again, I've lost $13 on stream, so taking donations. But yeah, thought process was I was long in here somewhere, and then I closed it literally as we lost this low, and then yeah, I should have probably pulled my finger out my arsehole and played the reclaim. But this is what I mean, right? Like you've got real clean reclaims, real clean level going through here. It's not not the hardest of things to trade, and it's had some relative strength, and now it's actually broken out. You know, it's looking pretty decent, to be fair. I know it's massive scam coin, right? So it's like, for me, it's much smaller position size than normal because it can pump these kind of runs, and even like this and like this, you know, they're quite solid compared to the rest of the market. But yeah, if we get like a pushback, maybe that'll be a signal for me to quite aggressively look for a rotation. But we will see. I actually remember how I found out about you, but I think we get PTSD if I say it out loud. Mate, I don't care anymore. Like, market's been very kind to me. I've done brilliantly out of it. I mean, it depends. Like, I've had some highlights, I've had some lowlights. You know, I've held Bitcoin from $3,000 to over $100,000 and sold it, and you know, changed hopefully everyone's sort of life for a long time. I've had some coins, like I owned maybe 2% of Fred at one point, which ran to 300 mil market cap. I definitely didn't make $6 million out of that, but I did make a few $100,000 in 24 hours on it. So, you know, I can't really complain. Um, I round tripped like a massive long on Bert, which is why I shell it so much. And what else? Million, yeah, Google ship and sorted in 2020. Yeah, yeah, I had like, I don't know, $1 billion of ship or something like that. But you know, everyone looks at that and goes, "Oh, why didn't you hold? Why didn't you fucking do this?" It's like, well, firstly, you know, it cost me, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000 or something like that, which to me at that time was, you know, a reasonable chunk of money, to be honest. You know, it wasn't like tiny, tiny, um, and like, you know, it's still not now, right? $2,000 is great. If someone comes up to me in the street and says, "Do you want $2,000?" Yeah, fuck me, mate. Yeah, go on in. I'll have that. Lovely job. Thank you very much. You know, I don't see it. I don't understand. Like, I've still really got the like value of money still. Like, you know, if someone walks up to you and says, "Hey, I'll buy you a pint." You know, pint might be 6, 7 quid, but fucking thanks, mate. It's amazing. You know, I'll have that. But then suddenly we go to the crypto world and it's like, oh yeah, oh, I made like, you know, 10 grand today. Did you? Like, this guy on Twitter made 80 million. Oh, oh great. Well, I'm a cunt then, aren't I? I'll just fucking Alexa, where's the nearest bridge? Like, you know, this is fucking stupid. But anyway, point being that actually with SHIB, you know, I cashed out enough to change my life and to give me literal years of freedom, like literal years. And for me at that point in time, that was the right choice. You know, could I have held it? Yeah, of course. Um, would it have been the best thing to do to hold it? Yeah, absolutely. But could I forgive myself if it went down to zero, and you know, risk the chance of like paying off my mortgage and setting myself up for a couple of years? And yeah, it's just no, no. The answer is just no. You know, everything's relative to the individual at that point in time. Like, you know, when you don't have to worry about where the next meal's coming from and all this kind of stuff. And I've never been like poor in my life, but you know, grew up like with my mum as a waitress, and like if she got good tips, we got to do nice things. If she didn't get good tips, we didn't do nice things. You know, we went to the park, we walked to the park or something, which is nice, but you know, it's not going bowling or going other places, is it? You know, it's, and that's a very middle class or first world problem to have, right? We had food on the table every day and all that kind of stuff. So it's I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that, you know, I didn't grow up in a castle and get fed fucking caviar every day. So yeah, if you can change your life, do it, and then you can be free. And then the next time you fumble $1 billion, you can really beat yourself up about it. Charlie has 9 figures. I do not. I am happy to say that I am sadly not a 9 figure trader, but I have more than one figure. I have two. Oh, what was it? As you can see here. Oh no, no, I'm a 1 figure trader. Rip. I'm a 1 figure trader, boys. Um, a round trip, but also Charlie 48 still holding, running off. Yeah, that's fair, mate. Send me some of that attitude so I can pay off my mortgage. low as my entry. Perfect. Best figure is 36, 24, 36. What is that? Is this like um TikTok joke or something? Oh, actually getting a decent rotation, and TRB's leading it. Like, look at that. And Farcoin's decent Peter as well. Motherfucker. Well, I just sit there sidelined. Good game on Chip, yeah, cheers, mate. Yeah, I mean it was really good. You know, I'm not trying to like flaunt or show off or anything. I'm just trying to like tell you the real story and the dealing with, I guess, regret in a way, because it's not a regret. I mean, it's a little bit of a regret, right? I'd quite like $1 million. I'm not gonna lie, but you know, I'd go back to that point in time and I'd make the same choice again and again and again. It's a combination of my attitude, what's important to me, and so on and so forth. Like, it's just, it kind of can't be, you kind of can't, don't know. I know someone who, I think I've told you the story before. I know someone who had 20, 30,000 euros in crypto, ran it up to 500k and said a million's just a 2x away. He was like 21, 22, something like that. Good guy on Twitter, but yeah, he just, I was like, just take out like 120, 150, just, get a deposit for a house, just change your life. Da, 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 da. The answer was no. Okay, fair enough. This was like May 2021. 4 weeks later, he's back down to like 100k, which is still a nice return, but you just, gave back like 400k to the market when, you really didn't have to do it all. But yeah, he could have done a lot better, is my point. And it's easy to kind of say that. And he also could have doubled it and then called me a cunt, right? But yeah, I'll always be the one that does this in terms of like P&L and taking it off and cashing out and doing this. If I hit numbers, I cash X% out, hit a number, cash X% out, hit a number, cash X% out, etc. That was always my plan. That was why I failed so hard in 2017, because I basically did this in 2017. I then cashed out 10x what I put in. I then carried on going, and then like whatever was left, I just went bosh and round trip like 70, 75% of it. And then I cashed it all out, and then I put it all back in, but with a plan, right? And again, taking profit at certain levels. Yeah, I think that's probably it, guys. It's 8:30. I've boshed on for a long time. We've successfully done a minus 80% trade, which is great. But hopefully shown off Bonkbot a little bit. Like I said, there'll be more stuff. I think me and Doc will have a play around with it and see what we can come up with together. I might even get see if I can get one of my on-chain friends like Stanley to go on, because he's a very good on-chain trader, and I'm sure that portrait of the United States. This looks like a bit of a it's pump fun. Okay. Your official presidential portrait just dropped. Perfect. Ideal. So we've even got the tweets. That's pretty sick. Should we ape 0.02 sol? I don't think I've ever been this poor. I need to transfer some funds over. Let's go. Let's go again. Let's keep gambling, keep rolling the dice. I've checked nothing, by the way. I've checked, they've probably just distributed a load of fucking shit to, nice. Yeah, mass distro, mass bundle. Lovely. Love to see it. Oh, 191 mil market cap. I didn't even fucking look. See, probably, I think that 0.01 sol is probably gone, right? But yeah, we will we will maybe check things a little bit more next time. Holy fuck. Yeah, this is a bundle piece of shit, clearly. But I need to work on my filters, and we will be back streaming the same time next week. Thank you all for being here. If you've enjoyed the content, like the video, sign up to Bonkbot and give me some ref volume if you're a massive on-chain trader, even if you're not, because firstly, I clearly need it to replenish my sol balance. I'll be like James Winner on the timeline, dropping a sol addy. And Secondly, it's a genuinely great product. I would not have partnered with them if I didn't think it was so good. Yeah, there we go. Bosh. Yeah, I need to sort my filters out, don't I? And just 8 memes that I find funny. But I'll love and leave you. We'll see you there, and see you next week. Au revoir.